Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop for this Tuesday night. I'm Gav, this is Dunner. It's just the two of us this week. Lads are sick, lads are off doing whatever. Me and Dunner are just committed to the cause when it comes to talking Premier League. Dunner, how are you? I believe you had to sit through Manchester United nil Bayern Munich 1 this evening.
Brutal,
What
brutal game of football.
was it?
Brutal game. Brutal. Absolutely. United are absolutely muck, Gav.
Yeah.
Muck.
Right.
That's
We
been
might we listen, I can't do a show at any stage this week without talking about this United game coming up, and I don't mind talking about it once it's with different people. And you're another different person to talk about, so we might get into that a little bit later. But let's start with this vote. And I'm trying to think of the word what they use. Amortisation, I think, is the word that they use
yeah.
with
Oh, well,
regards to. So, if for anyone that doesn't know what this is, basically what this is that when a team signs a player, they can have a contract over, like you see Chelsea, 8 years, and they can spread the cost of that transfer across the 8 years of the contract. And that's a standard thing that's been done in for a long time. Sign a fella for 5 years, you might put, if it's for 50 million, you might put 20 up front. The other 30 is done over 5 years, you pay that club 6 million a year. And that's how it works. Chelsea kind of turned that on its head and went, no, we'll give them 20 up front and we'll give them the 30 million over 8 years, right? Which significantly reduces your outcome or your output, money wise, from 5 to 7, 8. Now, the Premier League brought up this vote today, where regardless of the contract you give a player, you can only do the spread of this money owed over a max of 5 years. 15 clubs voted for it. 2 were against it. 3 abstained, I think. Reports are that Chelsea were one of those that were for this and voted for it. Is it a little bit of, the horse is bolted sort of thing, Dunner? Or is it just like, look, we're in line with UEFA now because UEFA done this a little while back?
yeah, but look, Chelsea were the club taking full advantage of it, Gav, and as you says, the horse is bolted, so they've done it. They don't need to do it from here on in. I think they were looking at reducing that anyway from last summer, weren't they? They were talking about they weren't going to put these payments over long contracts anymore. That they were done with that. That it was just to stay in line with their FFP for last year, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
So like they were always going to go in favour of it this year because they didn't need to do this anymore. So 100% the horse is bolted. There was no other real clubs at this. I think you have to go back over to Barca in Spain. I think are the only other ones at this nonsense. So,
Well, I think Barca had to try because they're in serious bother as well. So they're trying to put, give players mad contracts and try put it across that. But like, I know what you were saying with Chelsea were the ones that were kind of doing it in the Premier League, right? But it doesn't leave much wiggle room for Chelsea anyway, because they have a load of players there that are on 6, 7, 8 years. I think one of them might be on a 9-year contract, right? Might be even Cicero, right? And let's be honest about it. If this doesn't work for Chelsea, the players they have, right? And Pochettino's already making noises about January. When they come to getting rid of these players, right? It's going to be difficult because even if a fella is 3 years there and he's not doing it, he's still sitting there going, I've 5 years left on my deal here. I'm not going anywhere. So that's where it messes with them. But secondly, when they go to sign players off the back of what they've done financially, when they go to sign players and they go, well, you have to pay me over 5 years, I think it might hinder them the most. Even though I know you're saying the horse is bolted, it might still hinder them the most.
Oh, but yeah, I suppose Chelsea are in a bit of a lose-lose situation because yes, the horse is bolted in terms of like Chelsea done the damage. There was no other clubs going to do it, so no one else is going to get repercussions for this down the road because no one was going to go near it anyway. I don't think. Just in my opinion, but as you're 100% right in saying that, like Chelsea will be hampered now with these long contracts as well, and especially now that they're not going to get Champions League again this year. So that's another massive financial hit for them next year, and you're already looking. They still have Lukaku on the books, and he's been loaned out. Like the likes of Mudryk and these boys, Jackson and that, they're not going to be wanted by Pochettino next year. So they're on these long-term deals. And and no one's going to take them because they gave them bumper wages to avoid anyone else coming in for them during the summer.
Yeah.
So they're in a situation where they're going to be loaning these lads out, but paying 90%, maybe 80% of their wages on top of what they're trying to bring in then to improve the squad. So they're 100% in a lose-lose situation. But then this is where FFP has to come in properly, like, because they are an open case, especially if they don't get Champions League this year, which is near impossible at this stage.
Yeah.
So what happens there? Like, this is the interesting point for it going forward.
It's like it's being reported today, I think, by the Athletic to say that Chelsea were one of those that, voted for this to go through, and people were like, Chelsea voted for this, and I was like, well, that doesn't really surprise me, because you have to remember, Chelsea have done this, right? And I think Chelsea have voted for this because I think there's other stuff coming down the line for Chelsea, and they're probably trying to sweeten up the Premier League or wherever going. But look, we backed that proposal, and as well as that, I think Chelsea have probably looked and went, do you know what? There's probably teams out there that are way more clever than us with the money they spend, and if we allow them to spend that over fucking 8 years, do you know what I mean? They'll make a much better job of it than us. Do you know what I'm saying? So instead of Liverpool signing, I don't know, whoever, pick a player at Chelsea, right, for 70 million or 80 million, right, as an easy number, and saying, look, we'll give you 10 million here over 8 years. Liverpool could go and get 2 players for 40 million and spread it, and the payments would be the same over that same amount of time, but they've 2 players, and they'll probably pick the players better than Chelsea would. So I think Chelsea are kind of going, that doesn't really work for us. It hasn't worked for us, but someone may, after seeing what we've done with it, may fucking do it better, and let's stop them doing it better. But I think, I still think this hurts Chelsea, coupled with the fact that, like you said, if they made Champions League, it'd be an absolute fucking miracle this season, and I just cannot see it. And I think the FFP stuff's going to come back on Chelsea again. And people will say, you're saying that ages. Look at Everton. Everton is now the marker, and Everton have been done on what looks like one charge and got 6 or have had 10 points taken off them. It will have to happen to Chelsea. And people make the argument that, they were bought over and they were blah, 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 and Abramovich. Doesn't matter. When you buy over, you have to do your due diligence. The Premier League have to do their due diligence on you, and you go in with the same set of rules as everybody else. You don't get any freebies here. You don't get any leeway. You know what I mean? It's mad. There's a good couple of comments coming in here, but
do you think, Gav, as well with Chelsea, do you think it could be a case where they're nearly towing the company line here now with voting in favour of this contract situation again, because like Everton, maybe win with an open book scenario, show everything that's wrong, and then hope that the penalty isn't that bad in the end?
Yeah, I think so.
The courts and making a mess of it.
Well, you see, Dunner, the thing is, like, the talk is that Chelsea have gone to the Premier League and said, look, we found A, B and C financially, right? Hoping that the Premier League will go, look, that was before you were in here, don't worry about it. But that's not the case. The football club continued to operate while, whether it was Abramovich there, his assets frozen, he had to sell, whatever it is, they continue to operate. And if they operated in a way that Abramovich was paying a load of the bleeding bills and that Chelsea should have been paying, they'll get done for it. So I think Chelsea are in a bit of a precarious position where they're probably already in trouble for whatever I'm not saying FFP, but their financial dealings probably has them in a little bit of trouble. They've this loophole, and Jono says it, this loophole everyone knew about but just weren't stupid enough to go ahead with. They've done that, and now they've probably looked at it and went, we're going to actually screw ourselves here, and we're going to have to vote for this to fucking go through, which means now that whatever they try to do, they can't spread costs. So by this being pushed into 5 years, which you would normally manage, okay, every other team does, what's gone on before is going to kill you, because you have all these players sitting there on 7, 8, I think there's a 9-year contract genuinely, but there's just so many costs every year for the next 8 years, and now they're being restricted to 5. It's a bit of a double whammy, It's like being paid. It's like going out 2 weeks rent or 2 months rent and getting paid monthly by your job. It's just you never catch up. You know what I mean? You just never catch up.
I seen a comment. I think it was actually Jono as well, just earlier on there. He was saying about them looking to sell Gallagher, and
Yeah, O'Sheen says there, see, got already linked away to try and fund other transfers, but he's been okay. The thing with that is,
that's a homegrown situation. That's 100% profit. That's the only reason the likes of him.
Yeah, it's the only reason. It's the only reason Gallagher's been always being linked away, because so if they sign a player for 50 million, okay, and they sell him for 70 million, they go, 20 million profit, right? But no, because you've only given out 20 million for that player. Do you get me? So what happens is they start looking back on what you owe left on them, right? Whereas if you sell Gallagher for 50 million, it goes directly against your accounts, because he's basically seen as a free asset that you can put against the books. Do you get me?
Exactly.
If you bought a player for 50 and you go, we got 30 back from him. Yeah, but that's not like against your books. That's fuck all, because this payment, you still owe 30 on him. It's not like you paid it. You haven't paid it yet. So you still owe 30 million on this player, and you've sold him for 30. You know what I mean? It means fuck all. You can't write it off against your books. You simply can't.
It's why you'll probably see them in the summer. I'd say the likes of Reece James and even Caldwell and that, you'll see them going up for sale as well if they don't make Champions League, for the simple fact that they make big bucks off them and they'll clear a lot of debt off that way.
Yeah, and like you said, you have Gallagher, you have Caldwell. There's obviously there's going to be another couple around, and there's plenty of players coming through there as well that have come in, and they're young players, and they'll probably have to sell them off. But this is the risk they've taken, and listen, the Everton thing will be a marker. There's no doubt about it. The City thing, look, we know it's probably fucking 2 more years down the road. I don't agree with that for a second, but that's where we are. But with the Chelsea thing, it just seems like they've jumped into bed with the wrong idea, and now it's come back on them, and only time will tell. Like Wizard says there, Chelsea already done what was needed, because they brought up all the best youngsters in 2 years. They will have they'll have the Premier League experience. They cheated. Let me see what else. Chelsea apparently want. There, Jono says it again. They want to sell Gallagher, but being one of their best players this season, they're a shambles. Chelsea have a smaller ground in. Chelsea have a small ground in theirs of their wage bill. Roman subsidised them to the tune of 1.5 billion in his tenure. They're not a global brand either. I think they're financially fucked. And you have that's the funny thing. Like when you look at Chelsea, when Abramovich gets his assets frozen, right? The big thing around it was how much Chelsea owed to Roman Abramovich. So they weren't, financially stable in any way. And it's just got that they have much more. They've a load of money behind them still, same way with Abramovich. But the way they run is not financially viable. It just simply isn't, unless you hit the absolute gold on every one of them transfers, and you don't have to make a transfer for the next 5 years, because these lads are amazing, and that just simply doesn't happen. We're 4 months into this, and Pochettino's either trying to talk himself out of a job, or he's trying to talk them into doing something mad.
But there's still a lot to be looked at as well in regards to their ownership, though, Gav. It's nearly clear as day that they're still funded by the PIF as well, so they are. So, what's been said about that, or what's been done, like that's how have they passed the fit and proper test? Like, I know Bowley's in front for them, but it's where he's getting his funds from for Chelsea.
But you see, the thing is, right, the fit and proper test, right, is a nonsense. It's a nonsense, right? If they're being backed by PIF, which I think to a certain extent they are, I think they own a small percentage of this Clear Lake, right? Or officially they own a smaller thing, right? But when the Premier League look at it, the Premier League probably don't have. You see, this is my argument with it. The Premier League probably don't have to look at a fit and proper test. They need to look at how they implement their own rules. So, and maybe the fit and proper test is down to protecting the football clubs as institutions, right? Big football clubs, all football clubs should be protected as institutions, right? And that's where the fit and proper test comes in to go, listen, this fella's coming in, he has got a lot of money, right? And then you can argue where it's coming from, right? But it's when they get in, they go, listen, you have all the money in the world, but just to let you know, these are the rules. And if you don't want to stick to them, I wouldn't sign that contract because you won't last here. And that's the issue, Dunner. The issue is, there's an issue with the fit and proper thing, but the issue is what's implemented when they arrive in. And I'm under no illusions that Newcastle United are sitting there with their fucking hands, they're sitting on their hands going, what is going to happen here? Do we not pull the plug on Newcastle, but do we actually put the hammer down financially into this club? Because if we do, and Man City are found to be guilty of all these charges, we could be in the exact same boat, and it'll flush out a lot of people very quickly in the world of English football. It just will. There'll be no point. You know what I mean? It'd be like me or you. It'd be like me or you looking to invest in something, and it turns out we're investing in bleeding chocolate teapots. There's no point in it, Dunner. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of I think it's mad. I think the Chelsea thing is I'd love to find someone that knows the real ins and outs of it. Someone close to Chelsea that would tell you the real ins and outs, because it just seems very, very there seems to be a lot of elements in it, doesn't there? It's very hard to nail down exactly what's going on there.
But like, it's spread across as well, even into other sports. Like, it's Bowley's crowd as well, the baseball one. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I was talking to a couple of lads about that.
Yeah, where he's given what? I'm not exactly sure the numbers on it, the percentage.
It's a $700 million contract for 10 years, but I don't think he's paying him. Someone said there, I don't think he's paying him. Your man gets paid from the years 2034 to 2043.
Jesus Christ! Like, you know what I mean? This is mental carry on. Like,
yeah, but basically what he does then is he just basically fell at players for 10 years, and then he's handed a fortune. He's handed 70 million a year when he retires for 10 years. Do you know what I mean? And that's whatever he's getting, in endorsements or whatever now. But it's all a way of finding a way around this. And you see, the thing is, with this sort of thing, I think it's just a tactic of outlasting the people that set the rules. Outlast them, outfund them, and whereas if you walk in there tomorrow, Dunner walks in tomorrow to, Sligo Rovers, and says, I have a load of money I want to spend, and you go in, and then the league says, well, look, you only spend a certain amount, and you go, well, fuck you, because I've 250 million in my back pocket here, and I'm willing to bet 20 to 25 million of that in the next 10 years, where to the point where I'll be buying the league. I won't be even dealing with you anymore. And that's where it's coming from. That's the end game. The end game is to own the whole lot. Not to be part of it, not to be a shareholder, not to be a stakeholder in the Premier League. The end game in all this is to own the corporations you're currently part of. That's my take on it anyway. A few more comments. Kev O'Sullivan says Chelsea were always built on selling well. This is the first time they're lumped with assets after spending an absolute fortune on players they're losing value on. And there's talk of a few of them wanting out already. Let me see. Dan says it depends on how many long contracts they can sell to Saudi, like they did last summer. Yeah, that's a very fair point. Brozier could be allowed to be sold. He'd be in the same boat as Gallagher, says Ushian. Correct. Who's buying Reece James? He's injured more than me, says Chris Brack. Yeah, that's also correct. Their fans are already pissed off about them selling club-grown Mount. They won't be happy about selling Gallagher too. But you can be unhappy about Mount and Gallagher, but you're sitting there championing all the signings you're making. Exactly. And you know what way that you're doing it, and you know the financial structure of what they're doing. So you can't have your cake and eat it. Do you know what I mean? Taking the best youngsters in that generation, science-wise, and giving them 8-year contracts is great data for Chelsea. It's logical stuff. It's logical if it works. If you go out there and you say, right, I have the next 8 Lionel Messi's in their position, yeah, spend it all fucking day, because but if it doesn't work, and financial reports are done every year and every 3 years across Europe. So Chelsea right now, with no Europe this year, possibly no Europe next year, doesn't matter what money they have, if they are not running properly and being successful, it affects them. And Wizard, I get your point, but let's be honest about it. If Chelsea don't get into Europe this year, they'll be wanting rid of half of them players because they haven't performed. They'll want rid of half and get more in. How do you do it now? How do you do it?
And
You've
bear in
6,
mind,
8, 10 players on 6 and 7 and 8 year contracts. They're going to go nowhere. No one's paying them for a start. Dunno, they're not paying them.
and look, if any of these players are clever enough, and most players are these days as well, they could have release clauses in their contract that if they're not making Champions League or anything like that, where it could go at a minimal fee.
Yeah.
And even at that could hamper Chelsea more in it. To entice players to come into the club, you give them those benefits of having the release clauses and that there, so that you're guaranteed that they're going to sign on. They have that exit clause as well into these long contracts.
Yeah. Ashley says ultimately they are not self-sufficient. It's night and day when you compare it to Liverpool. Say what you want about FSG, but they deserve their flowers for getting us to where they are in that regard. Yeah, that's true. They're far from perfect, FSG, but they haven't gone anywhere close, not even in the same ballpark of doing like, what Chelsea have done here. And it all looked shiny and new.
Murmur of it.
Yeah, but it all looks shiny and new, and now it's like one bad season, and this could be all over the place. And I'm reluctant to say what could happen to Chelsea because, like I said, I just don't know the absolute ins and outs of it. I know what they're doing transfer wise, and I know what they're doing contract wise, and I can kind of make a guess off it, but you'd have to kind of know the numbers. Red Steve says your mate Rory might know, Gav. Yeah, I should actually ask Rory because Rory digs into these things and does find plenty on them.
What do you reckon the outcome of that vote was today? Really and truly, when you think about it, who do you think they're trying to prevent from it in future? Do you think maybe, just when you were talking about it a second ago, do you think maybe it's Newcastle they're trying to affect? That maybe they could see that as
a way of funding that money. Yeah, it could have been, but I think if you were to give them some credit, the football clubs, they were probably looking at as a whole to protect football clubs.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, like Dunner, we all go on the presumption that these people come in, spend loads of money and stay. Right? What happens if Clear Lake turn around tomorrow and say, we're at the pump and all this money in, these players aren't worth what we bought them for. They're on contracts that are mental. We're not performing. So we're literally just leaking money all over the place here. Right? And that's what they're doing. And just turn around and go, do you know what? We're selling it. We're just going to get our 2.75 billion back and we're out of here. It's not worked. Now, who's taking it then? Our 2.75 billion to go in and try do a lot more, financially than they've done because you have to clear up that mess and hope that you get it back because these are all speculating to accumulate. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? They're hedge funds that want to make money. And you talk about FSG. FSG have come in and will make an absolute fortune off Liverpool club. Where will they leave them? They leave them as a massively rich football club, a successful football club with a great infrastructure, stadium, the whole lot. But they will make their money off it at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, FSG sell for 4 billion. Someone comes in and spends 4 billion. They'll want to make their money. And that's the dangerous bit. That's actually the dangerous bit. It's what comes after. Because it's already spending 300 million and making your 3 billion. But unless you're like just stupid rich where it doesn't mean anything to you, you're going to put 4 billion into an enterprise. Fair play to you if you don't want that back. Do you know what I mean? And how much it costs you to keep it going in order for it to be worth, get your 4 billion back in 5 years is an awful lot of money. It is an awful lot of money. Unless it's being run really well and being successful on the pitch, which FSG have been, the sort of way to keep that up. Look, I'm gonna go and ask some questions about Chelsea and see where I get on that, and we might come back to it in a little while. The other thing I want to talk about is, Dunner, tell me this: is Pep Guardiola gone bananas, or is it just me? Is the head gasket gone?
It's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. It's done. Into the shop, it's gone. So it is. I can't understand it, Gav. I don't know how a man in his position has just blown a fuse so quickly. We're only touching Christmas here. We were in the depths of a title race.
Yeah.
And it's not even just at Liverpool. He's blown it at Arsenal. He's blown it at Spurs. Everyone's getting a belt of the stick off him. Like that rant he went on the other day was just phenomenal. absolutely phenomenal.
Well, I'm going to ask the question straight out the bat, out the bat, right? Do you think, forget the football for a minute because we get on to that, right? But do you think that what's going on in the background with City is starting to show on him?
People think we've lined this up, Gav, but that's exactly my reasoning behind all this as well. I think he's looking for an exit strategy with all this. I think this is.
Oh, you go that far? That's saying an extra strategy on it.
Yeah. I just looking at him. This fella's been calm and collected. Like he has these little mad outbursts, and he's a sarky bastard at times. I don't mind him, but he's a weirdo. Like he is a weirdo. But this kind of stuff, this is new. This never happened at Barca or Bayern. This is just brand new to him, and I think what he's going to play off is they know something is coming now, and there's a lot of upset in that camp. You can see it. You can see it in performances on the pitch. Something's just not right at City this season, and I think he's playing off a Gav big time. And I think this is his exit strategy at the end of the season. That if it's so that they don't win the league, hopefully that's the case. That he says, "No, I've had enough. I'm done. Pressure's too much. Blah blah blah. I need to take a break." Like what he done at Barca at the end.
Do you think then that if it is an extra strategy, and I'm not saying I don't know if it is, right, but his mantra in all this will be, the media and everyone else is just treating us off. They treat us terribly, and the way they carry on about me is terrible. And I'm not standing for this. I'm out of here. Rather than turn around going, do you know what? I think we might be up fucking shit creek without a paddle here, and I need to get out. Rather than saying that, he's kind of making it like, because the rant the other day, right? I was looking at it and I was kind of going, this fella listening to himself? Because he basically what he turns around and says is like, oh, we're expected to win. Anybody else wins this league, it's a big achievement. When we win it, nothing. Now, that goes back to him not getting the recognition he thinks he deserves. But when he looks at the club he's at, where does he think he's going to get the recognition from? And what I couldn't work out was, does Pep Guardiola literally sit there and believe that, he is upset that he's expected to win everything at Man City when you look at, potentially what they've done to put themselves into that position? That doesn't make sense. That's 2 + 2 is 5, Dunner.
No, he's trying to create this storm, Gav, and I think what he was trying to do with that outburst the other day is to create a massive media hype behind it and have it all over the place and create this mentality that, as you say, is that the press are trying to nearly hound him out. Like, you even take it, just to bring it back to our own for a minute, you look at Klopp the last day after the Palace game, and remember there's one of the interviews, I'm not sure what channel it was on, makes a snarky comment to him about the 12:30 kickoff.
Oh, it was after the Sheffield United game?
Sorry, was it the Sheffield United game?
Yeah.
Makes the snarky comment, and Klopp bites and has a little bit of a chomp back at him. You look at the coverage that got all over the place. Yeah. That was everywhere, and everyone was commenting on it. And that's the airplay Klopp gets. Everyone bites on it all the time. And look at Klopp losing the head, blah, blah, blah. Pep tried to do it the other day. It looked forced. Like, that whole thing looked forced the way it was going on, because it didn't make any sense. It was pure shite talk what he was coming up with. And that didn't get half the airplay that Klopp got. I don't think he's even getting what he wants by blowing the head gasket.
Because I think
in Pep's world where they lick his hole and he can do no wrong.
Yeah, because I think the narrative off the back of this Everton stuff, I think, is turning on City, and I think he knows it's turning on City.
Yeah.
And basically, it's going to be, yeah, sure, you'll win everything, sure. You look what you've done to get there. So a couple of things there. Megan says Pep's head is melting all before Christmas. He knows he's in a title race. Oisin says surely he's been told behind the scenes of what actually the case of these charges, and if it's a serious punishment. Kieran says Gundogan has been a big loss to them. Jono says he's the most insecure great manager we've ever seen. He hates that everything he's done at City will have a Lance Armstrong asterisk next to it. Let me see. Carragher's response to Pep dig was top tier trolling. And look, Carragher goes back to him and says, I would have won a league if I was, backed by a sovereign state and would, could run up whatever I wanted to the total of 115 charges. And maybe he's being told in the background, look, this is actually fucking serious. Maybe, I think overall, he can see I think he's gone along as a City manager and kind of went, he's really upset that other teams get credit and his teams don't. But he's kind of dealt with it because, they all know what, they all think they know what we've done, blah, 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 blah. But now, with the narrative actually shifting and focusing straight in on him, I think that's where he's right in the crosshairs here. I think that's where he's going to turn it and basically say, I've been hounded out of England because the way they've treated me. You know the sort of way?
But absolutely, and Gav, if you look at the way he's always approached this situation from day one since these charges appeared, listen to what Pep says when he's asked about it. He always says, as far as I'm aware, we've done nothing wrong.
Mm. Well, he did go a step further than that and said, I know we've done nothing wrong. I've spoken to where...
Even at that, when he says, I know we've done nothing wrong, all he has to do is when the charges eventually do come through as guilty, which they will, I'm convinced of it, he'll just turn around and say, they lied to me.
Yeah, because he has covered that as well, where he said, if I find out that they've lied to me, I'll be gone.
Yeah.
And then he said stuff like, no, I know we've done nothing wrong. And then he said stuff like, well, if we're relegated to League 2, I won't leave. Why would you be relegated to League 2 if you've done nothing wrong? Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a load of mixed messages there. I just got from this rant the other day. Maybe it is a bit of title race. Maybe he knows his team are kind of... Maybe it could be simply they won everything last season. They're finding it hard to get back up for this season, and he knows that, and he's struggling to fucking get them going again. But they're not miles off, let's be honest. It's not like they're in Chelsea's position. They probably end up with the bookies are probably still favourites for the league.
And there's a run coming in them as well.
There's no doubt there's a run coming in them. But he just seems to be forming a narrative or forming a story or forming something where he can point to a reason for leaving English football, maybe. But it won't be anything to do with what's going on with charges. It'll be more to do with, I'm there and I've done this and you don't give me the credit and you're obsessed with this club and you're obsessed with that club. But he's the one that keeps mentioning all these clubs. Like Klopp came out the other week and mentioned Newcastle. He said, sorry, I never meant. He actually says in it, sorry, I've never mentioned Newcastle. I watched them the other night against United. Brilliant game they played. From start to finish, they were direct, they were this, they were that. But Klopp doesn't sit there and go, well, Jurgen, do you think you can win the league? Oh, well, I'm not too sure. These are good and that's good. Where this fella's turning around going, well, if we win it, we don't this, and if we were expected. And I just can't get around on how he can actually sit there with a straight face and go, why do you always make it out like we have to win? Well, Pep, these 115 charges and what they're based on would tell you why they have to win. And the reason a league win for any of these other clubs you mentioned would be a big achievement is because what they're up against. Like, am I going mad, or have I read this wrong?
No, 100%. I agree with you and everything. But it's all part of the dance for him. So it is. All this is just all part of the dance. He's very good at what he does. He's a manipulator of the highest order.
Yeah.
And, even bring it to the sideline. Like, look at him when we draw 1-1. That handshake with Klopp, that's infuriating. So it is. All this real... He's passive aggressive very much. Did you see him even with Rob Edwards after Luton there when they beat them? Yeah. There's, he's up with these fake hugs and kisses and all this bullshit. He knows how to play a crowd. He knows how to play people.
Yeah.
And, and so many people buy into it. And that's what they're doing as well through these interviews. And that's why I don't think he's even getting the bite that he wants. That, as I went back to already, creating this siege mentality against him. He's not going to get it because people buy into this whole City thing. Where a lot know they're guilty, but a lot on the same side, Gav, will always side with them.
Yeah, but you see, I think I'd have more respect for him if he came out and went, listen, you all think we cheated, and I'm telling you we didn't, right? So I think we should get way more credit for what we've done than what you give us. And all this there where, we're up for the league and we should do this and we should do that. You're wrong. Right, it'd be a brilliant achievement for us to win the league against these teams because we're playing on the exact same pitch as them, the sort of way. But he's not saying that. He's not saying that. He's trying to say it, but he can't go the full way because I don't think he has confidence in what's coming. That's where I am. And instead of saying I don't have confidence in what's coming here, and the comments I fucking made before have actually stitched me up, I'm going to make something else up. I'm just going to go down a different line here and focus. That's where I think he is with.
I think there's more to come from him as well in the next couple of weeks. And if they lose another couple of games, I think he'll fucking just blow the lid altogether.
Yeah.
So
yeah, be a row off. You'd be ringing AXA going, listen, that's not going back on the road. Won't you? You'd be cancelling your bleeding. You'd be cancelling your monthly payment with premium credit. Come here, people. I mentioned the lovely quiff you have tonight. It's about time you fucking turned up and look presentable, because another couple of nights you've looked like a bleeding bouncer. You've looked like all sorts, but it's looking magnificent today. So people are asking what top you're wearing.
That's a 1989 Sligo Rovers kit.
Yup, look at that. 1989. Oh, quickly, I seen you on Twitter the other day saying Sligo Rovers have made a couple of good signings. You're happy with how things are going so far? Because you were distraught at the end of last season.
Oh, stop, man! I was on the bridge.
Yeah.
So, but okay, no, cautiously optimistic. Now we won't be pulling up any trees. Like all I want to do.
Send me a list of them afterwards, will you? And I'll catch up on them and see where they are. Anyway, look, we're going to finish up in a couple of minutes because we said we'll do about 45 minutes on this.
We already in that much, yeah?
Yeah, we're 37 minutes in. We're the best boys. Before I do, sorry, loads of shows coming throughout this week. You've had loads already. Tomorrow, 2 member shows tomorrow. Tomorrow at 10 a.m, 10 minutes of football, 20 minutes of nonsense. It's called the 30. It's great. I love it. I'm on there tomorrow. And tomorrow night, myself and Phil Casey, where another member show called The Tribute, where Phil will pick 3 players, former Liverpool players, to pay tribute to. All right. Thursday, what have we got on Thursday? 10 a.m. Myself and Robbie on at 10 a.m. 10 p.m. we'll go through the Union St. Gillo, whatever the fucking called. We're going to do a reaction to that game. I know the game is on early, but we're leaving the reaction until 10 p.m. so people are, home and able to do stuff like that. Friday, 10 a.m, myself and Kev are going to be on the 30 at 10 a.m. And at 8:45, myself and Chris doing episode 5 of the title show, which will be free to everyone. It is a member show, but we're going to make it free to everyone. If you're not a member already, don't be giving us super chats. Put your $3.99 a month into being a member. There's about 20 to 30 shows a month on there, and there's a new series coming. After the title one is finished, there's a new series coming as well, which will be 6 episodes. You get them all live, you get to interact, and you get them before anyone can download them and stuff like that. But all of our content you can download the following day, but the likes of these series, you have to wait a couple of days after for it. But become a member, it's the blatant crack. Dunner, what are you laughing at? You've seen something in the chat, tell me.
No, John there, just see that Klopp needs to rebuild an agent squad, but no Champions League is a lot of money lost, and they don't just need 1 or 2. Gary Neville tweeted May 7, 2023, Toppin just finished last in the Champions League group.
Yeah, it's fucking mad.
He's a fucking tick at the highest order.
Jesus, I can't. I just can't. I can't go into them anymore. So the weekend, Manchester United at home. Big games. I know we're skipping over this Thursday game, but the chances are we're going to play a very kind of shadow side, as you call it, on Thursday. But United the weekend, I'm sure we'll get to West Ham and Arsenal as they come around. But this is the big one. Sunday 4:30, Anfield against United. You've watched United tonight. We watched United this season. It looks like maybe Luke Shaw now won't make it. Looks like Harry Maguire definitely won't make it. And the talk is that Varane may have gone injured as well tonight. But even with them on the pitch, you said to me when you come on, Gav, they are fucking brutal.
They're atrocious.
I don't know what to say about them anymore.
Like Kimmich and Goretzka for Bayern this evening played the game, and even saying Terragher would be complimentary to them, and they waltzed through United. Like Bayern should have been 3 or 4 up at half time even. They were taking the piss of them, and they weren't even trying. So they were, and United were at full tilt.
Yeah,
and still they didn't create anything. They're just there's no structure to them, Gav. There's no like for a manager that's been in there now. What is it? 18 months. Like there's no identity to that side whatsoever.
Yeah.
So there's not, and there's no sign of an identity coming into the team. You have that lad Anthony. He's over on the sideline. He's like something off a YouTube channel where he's doing these little fancy flips, and the ball goes nowhere.
Fidget spinner, my mate calls him.
That's actually a great name for him.
Yeah.
You know, you've like, and another one as well. And I actually think there's a makings of a good player there. Is your man Hoyland up top?
Yeah,
Like that fella hasn't scored since what the first that Bayern the away leg at Bayern.
yeah. Oh no, he
Because
scored. He scored away in Copenhagen, didn't he?
oh, did he score out there as well?
I
Did
think he
he?
might
Yeah.
have scored in Copenhagen. Did he get one in Galatasaray? I can't remember, but he hasn't scored a league
Nice
goal. I don't think.
Copenhagen. Come on, you know, like we won't get run away. But like, there's nothing been said about him, and he's 70 odd million of a signing as well.
Yeah,
So he
it's
is.
it's so as a Liverpool fan going into it, and I'm trying to get as many people when they're on this week to talk about it. As a Liverpool fan going into this, are you confident? One, and two, what do Liverpool need to do here? Because these are shy. So what do Liverpool need to do?
First of all, I'll never be confident, Gav. They could be in League Two and they could have Dwight York and Andy Cole today playing back up top for them, and I still
Yeah,
wouldn't be confident going into the game
yeah,
because it's just them. But realistically, though, I think going into the game, you have to stay on top of them. So you have. They're going to be at that. They're going to sit back and they're going to look to hit you on the counter as always. That's all they seem to do.
mm,
That's their only identity. It's a terrible way of playing. But we just got to be smart on that. Can't leave any gaps for them. Can't leave any back doors open. And I think if we can just hound them out, keep at them, I think we'll tear them apart. And I think the biggest thing is whether he starts Nunes or Gakpo. And I personally go Gakpo.
yeah. To find the
I,
spaces and hold
yeah,
it.
I
Yeah,
think he pulls. I think, especially now with the injuries they'll have in the back line, you know what I mean. They're going to be totally unstructured altogether at the back. And I think if you have Gakpo pulling people around the place, it's just going to create loads of room for Salah and Diaz to cause absolute havoc.
yeah.
And I think
Um,
that's where we win the game.
do you want to give me a prediction?
3-0.
3-0. Okay. Kieran B says it'll be Johnny Evans and Varane versus us if one of those get injured in the game. I don't know who they can bring in at centre half. I don't know either because like I haven't seen a minute of this game, by the way. I just know. I think I seen a text from Kev saying Maguire's gone here, and then I was like, gone. What? Like, oh, Maguire's done. Sorry, and I was like, has someone done him for a goal? Is he fucking? Are you just telling me he's shy? No one was there, or something happened? And then I seen it saying he groin, was it? And then the second half started, and I seen Luke Shaw off, Wan-Bissaka on. I think was it Wan-Bissaka on?
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going on there? Is he just pulling the plug on this and trying to keep players? But you're telling me Luke Shaw was signalling to the bench for 2 or 3 minutes before the half
Yeah, no,
ended to say I need to go as well. And then you were saying somebody texted you to say, no, do you think Varane's gone off injured as well?
yeah. So I'm not 100% on my Varane. That could be just precautionary, but
Yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But you have to remember as well, if no Fernandez as well going into this game.
No, there's no Fernandez either. Sam reckons they'll put Amrabat into centre half. They did. They
That'd be
did at the
amazing.
end of the game tonight. Look, if on paper you'd look and go, Liverpool are just going to destroy this, but I'll keep saying it and I'll bang on about it all week. Liverpool's intensity has to be there. Liverpool's determination to run all over these have to be there. And if Liverpool go 1-0 up after 5 or 10 minutes, Liverpool need to basically continue as if it's 0-0 for the next 10. And if they score again, they need to continue as if it's 0-0 for the next 10. Liverpool's only downfall here on Sunday will be if they decide that they are too good for Manchester United and switch off. Because as bad as they are, they have got players that can hurt you. There's no doubt about it. They have got players that can hurt you. Your man Hoyland running into open space at Anfield because we don't want to press further up the pitch is trouble. Garnacho's a good player. Trouble. Anthony, I think he's awful. But if you give him a chance, he can hurt you. Do you know what I mean? McTominay scoring a goal. There's areas there where he can hurt you, but he can only hurt you if you don't apply yourself. And that's my thing for the week. Apply yourself and you'll be absolutely fine. John says
I
the
think
Anfield
the
Road
best
end
thing
partially
that
opening. Under the lights, fans are going to be rabid. A bad night at the office coming for Eric Sevenhag. No Casemiro either. Yeah, Rashford might continue to play sick on Sunday. Yeah, it said he was out with an illness tonight. He'll be back. They'll have to play him. Come on, Dunner, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say there. I think the best thing that could have happened to us was that performance of Palace at the weekend. I think that's the combination of the last few games where we've been poor. And I think we always go through them little spells, and then we come out the end of it. You'll always hit that. That's the bottom of the barrel, basically. And then we move on. Even Klopp has addressed how bad we've played and everything else. So I think we'll be all guns blazing, to be honest, at the weekend. And we need to, as you said, we have to be at it from the first minute, because you can't give these a sniff. It's the game where kind of form goes out the window sometimes.
Yeah, and I think like John says, our home performance would be much better than our aways. We trashed that Super Villa team, that Villa Super team at Anfield. Look, Fulham scored 3 at Anfield, and I genuinely think it's down to Liverpool just deciding that we'll just win this. Whatever happens, we'll win it, right? That won't be allowed to happen on Sunday. I think whoever's made the comment about the under the lights and everything, they're bang on, because it's Liverpool, Manchester United, so the play's going to be bleeding, rocking, half forward. It's going to be dark, right? It's going to be hard. I fully agree with that. But I think if Liverpool win, if go in front, I don't think the crowd will sit back and go, that's grand now, a run of the mill. They'll be wanting more, and they'll be wanting more, and that pushes them on. O'Sheen says it there. The crowd at Anfield won't allow us to play and poorly against United at the weekend, especially partial opening of the new Anfield Road end. Hoyland will probably get his first goal in the Premier League. Says bonkers. He may do, but if Liverpool score 4, I don't give a fuck if he gets his first goal in the Premier League.
They're in for a tough week as well, Gav. They got booed off at full time.
They were booed off tonight.
Yeah, so there'll be a lot of talk and a lot of pressure all week.
Yeah, and he seems to have sent I've heard McTominay quite a bit on the radio, as he seems to be the spokesman now, which is funny because he was the one that they were trying to actively get rid of 3 months ago. But like, none of their big players are out talking, and that's a bit of a worry, But look, I'll take your 3-0 all day. I won't even see our 3 and raise it. I'll take the 3 and I'll walk away from it, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm absolutely good with that. We're going to go. Really enjoyed that. Good shot on Pep. Good shot on the that thing that they've done in the vote. Can't remember the word. It's gone out of my head. And a good shot on Liverpool versus United. Like I said, hit the like button on your way out. If you can, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to become a member and get, you're still getting something like 16, 18 shows a month free. But if you want another 20 to 30 on top of that, become a member. It's €4 a month. It's €1 a week. It's, I don't know what it is a day, 13 cents a day. I don't fucking know what it is, right? But do so. It helps us. It really, really does help us. It helps us do this, do it live, keep the interaction, all that sort of thing. So and yeah, it's good fun. If you know anyone that's a member and you're not sure, get on to them and ask them. We're having the crack, honestly. 10 o'clock in the morning. It's like we're all bleeding drunk, the stuff we're coming out with. This morning's one had to be marked explicit, not for kids. I had to do 2 warnings on it to say it's not for kids, because people are talking about all sorts of stuff. I'm not going to say it again here because I'll end up having to mark this one explicit as well. But yeah, if you're not a member, check it out. Give it a go for a month. Cost you £4. If you don't like it, fine. If you do, you'll keep with it. That's what I'll say to you. Dunner, it's been an absolute pleasure. You look fantastic. If we don't see you on here before Christmas, have a great Christmas to you, your wife and your daughter. Have a really, really good one. Thanks to everyone in the chat. It's been an absolute pleasure. Over and out.
Cheers, Gav.